So again, what's striking to me is that, like, I feel disenfranchised by major game developers. All right, so back when I had all the time in the world, I had a GameCube, I had a Game Boy Advance, played every Pokemon game, played every Mega Man game that came out, played Smash Brothers till I beat it. I played...
what the... I don't even know what level this is. It's just a weird random level.
Star Fox games. I played Soul Calibur until I beat it. I mean, I like really enjoyed the console. Pokemon Coliseum is another good one. And there's something about, maybe it's being an adult, or maybe it's just like having to buy these consoles myself. But like,
that's a big part of it.
You know, I just sit here and I'm like, I'm totally happy carrying one device with me. One device in my pocket that I know is powerful enough to drive at least Nintendo DS games at 60 frames per second on the new iPhone 6.
I think iPhone 6 could go even further than that if we actually tried. I bet it could do...
What up, Pong?
PS1, maybe even PS2.
That's
to an extent.
I don't know if
it's easier, lighter PS2 games. PS2 wasn't 60 frames per second. So, we didn't start hitting 60 frames per second until like Wii U.
Sure, I just mean like
PS4.
It's still smooth as shit on iPhone.
Yes.
30 frames per second, you can still feel. Anyway, so it's like, you know, I feel like there's a lot of pent up demand from guys our age and in our situation. Oh my God!
She has a new Final Smash because she doesn't transform into Samus anymore.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, why is she freaking coming after me so hard?
That's pretty cool, though. What are these numbers?
Brain Age. There's an assist trophy.
Okay. Anyway, so I feel like there's pent-up demand for guys like me who'd spend up to... Wow, I hate this level.
I don't like this level. I think I made this one for, like a challenge.
I would spend up to $25 on an app if they would give me Pokemon Yellow. You know what I mean? Like, come take my money, but I just don't feel like they care about my demographic.
Okay, so we alluded to this in the last episode. I'm gonna lay out the ecosystem. What I foresee potentially happening in the gaming space. This isn't to say that I'm necessarily in support of the whole PC master race idea.
PCMR.
I don't think gaming is going to go to a completely PC-based thing because there will always be a market for the simplicity of having a proprietary console that plays video games and doesn't, like, you don't have to worry about installing software and keeping your console streamlined and defragmented, things like that. But I do see the separation of the companies going away. I don't think having a piece of hardware come out and last for 10 years is going to keep happening.
Sure. Yeah.
Because the incline of technological advancement is too fast. We last gen when Xbox 360 and PS3 came out, we started with a 60 gig console. I think it was small. I think
we had a white man for president.
I think the PS3 was a 20 gig and a 60 or 30 gig and 60 gig console when it started. By the end of the PS3 life cycle, we had a 320, and then right into PS4 we have a 500.
Wow.
So the same thing for 360. I think 360 was a 20 gig, and that was an accessory. Like it didn't even come with it most of the time.
I think when I got mine in 2010, it was a 250 gig hard drive, maybe.
And that was the Elite, right? Was it Elite? It wasn't the original, 360. No. Yeah. So, just that advancement, how fast it happens, hardware's not going to keep up, because even if there is more consoles after this, they're going to start going down to 5-year lifespans. And we're going to keep getting all these different versions of the same console just to update the graphics, and update the hard drive, and things like that, update the CPU and the RAM. So that's not going to last. We're going to eventually get to a modular system where there's a hardware maker, kind of like Steambox, and it's like every couple of years they might come out with a hardware update. You could send in your console and trade it out, or they upgrade it for you for $100, $200. And all of our console makers are going to start making software instead, and that's what they should be. Like Nintendo would thrive as a software company. It would kill the software. Imagine them making spending all of the time they spend on hardware research and development and production, and putting that back into their software development, into their studios, and making Mario and Zelda and Metroid games for PS4 and Xbox One.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
They would be amazing. The games would be ridiculously awesome. And I think Nintendo will come out with something after Wii U, which technically would be part of this console generation, because the Wii U is not part of the PS4.
That is really hard for me to
Xbox
believe.
One generation.
I just have such a hard
It depends on how you classify generations. Generations could be based on time, but developers base them on architecture, because that's how their development cycles go. So,
I guess what I'm just meaning is, if Nintendo came out with a Wii U Plus,
yeah,
before 2018, I'd be shocked. I mean, literally.
But I mean, just look at
it feels breakneck the rate that they're cranking out 3DSs.
Look at the games that came out on Wii U when it first came out. Like how they said that this was the new level of Nintendo. The games that they talked about when they first announced the Wii U were Arkham City Armored Edition, Mass Effect 3.
Mass Effect 3 came out on the Wii U.
Mass Effect 3, I believe so, yeah. And that was a big deal because it was like, oh my god, Mass Effect's going to be on a Nintendo console.
Yeah.
But it was it was Mass Effect 3, which had already been out for a year and a half.
Well, yeah. See, I didn't even know. I didn't even know it came out.
Exactly, because why would you? They're trying to target you, but how could they target you when you've already been playing Mass Effect 3 times since it came out?
Well,
and you're going to go to Wii U and play it again?
Admittedly,
on a lesser console?
Yeah.
If I was gonna play Mass Effect 3 on any console other than PC, personally, it would have been Xbox One because of the Kinect functionality. It's the only console, which is ridiculous because the PS4 and the PC could do the same thing.
Yeah.
But the Xbox One was the only console where you could use the Kinect to order your teammates by voice.
Yeah. And
tell them what to do without having to select it from menus and stuff. Which is exactly what the Kinect should be for, but is not what they do with it.
Yeah, can you go ahead and update me if we can do a diatribe here? Because, to my knowledge, again, as an outside guy, I gotta stop saying that, though. Everybody knows it by now. Kinect was like, you have to have this as soon as the Xbox came out. And then it was only 6 months, I feel like, where they were like, nah. I guess we'll just let you have it anyway.
Are you talking about for Xbox One or just
with
the original 360 version? Because the Kinect 1 was the same way with Xbox 360. It was touted as this huge thing. They dedicated entire conferences to just Kinect and Kinect games instead of talking about new Halos and Gears of Wars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was this big thing, and they made a huge deal about it, and then it came out, and it was a water drop. It literally did nothing. And it was way overpriced. It was $150 to add that thing to your console.
Yeah. And
there was nothing to use it on. Except for Kinect Adventures or Sports Adventures or whatever.
Kinectimals.
Basically, it was Wii Sports, but you had to buy it separately.
Okay. So everybody hates on it really well.
The Kinect?
The Kinect and...
I love the Kinect. I think it's great. I don't have one. I also don't have any of the Xboxes.
Here's what I was going to say is...
Yeah.
I have not heard a single thing, good or bad, about the PlayStation Move since it was announced a few years back.
Yeah, the only thing that's really bad about it is that it doesn't really have that much support. That's the only problem. I love it. I have the Move, and I have the camera, and multiple controllers, and I have some games that use it.
I find it interesting that as a gamer, you're like, I wish people supported it more. Yeah. The developers are like, I wish people cared more. So that is what is it? What's the truth? Where does it lie?
Well, the thing is that people like to blame developers, obviously. As an industrialist, everything does fall to the consumer. If the consumer does not want something and will not pay for it, there's no reason for the developer to design it and work on it.
Sure.
Because there needs to be some sort of light at the end of the tunnel, some sort of payoff for all the work and money going into it. And seemingly the Move didn't have that, I guess. I thought the Move was a great piece of hardware. I still do. The only downside I see to it, and that I wish they would have done, and I think the Razer Hydra, I think it's called the Hydra, their motion controller actually does do it. They should have on the main Move controller, because the Move is basically set up like the Wii, where you have a motion controller with buttons and stuff on it, and then you have a separate controller that's like an analog stick. It's a navigation controller. It's like the nunchuck. And that's where your left analog stick and stuff is for most of your games and stuff. I think that the analog stick should be built in right to the main controller. So like on that Wii, it would have an analog stick where the A button is. So that if you needed to have 2 analog sticks, all you need is 2 of those controllers. You don't need a Wiimote and then a navigation or the nunchuck and stuff. I think that was a major just oversight on their part, and you could have done so much more with it if the controller itself was all in one and it had that functionality on it.
Let's just agree that if you can just make sure that any game I want is available on any console, and that, that's it. Backwards compatibility and cross-generation compatibility. Just make it happen. That's all I want. Where's my what is it called? Xfire? It was the box that was
OnLive.
OnLive. Yeah, where's my OnLive?
Yeah, it's a piece of crap.
Wasn't PlayStation or Xbox supposed to do that at this point? Like, we were supposed to be able to stream games before they finished downloading?
PlayStation, and you can.
Okay, cool.
PlayStation Now. It's a real thing. It does exist.
It's a real thing.
I have not used it.
It's not magic.
I get this. When the beta started for it, they started with a beta, and it was an open beta, so you could try it out and see how the streaming and stuff worked, and they could beta test it, basically. Just make sure everything was running when it was under stress and stuff. The problem I had with that, the reason I did not beta test anything, was because...
Oh, no. What have you done? Oh, wow.
Was because the prices were outrageous. The entire point of it is kind of like rentals. So you rent games, and there's time limits. So you could rent a game for an hour, for 4 hours, for a day, or for a week, or something like that. And, that makes sense, more or less. It's like, okay.
Like, play it to completion in the week? Or...
It doesn't matter. It's whatever. Okay. You have the full game for however long you rent it for.
I got you.
So...
That's interesting. If you have just, like, unlimited time for a day, I feel like... I don't know. How cheap is it for a day? Do you remember?
That's the thing. The beta, the prices were outrageous. So it was literally, like... $1.99 for an hour.
What?
It was ridiculous. Like $4
Is that a
for 4
joke?
hours. It was really ridiculous. Like, I would never pay for these. Thankfully, I believe after that they came out with a subscription, which I think is the right way to go. If you pay, $20 a month, you can play anything.
Okay.
And for unlimited time, you can play whatever's on there. It's like GameFly, but streaming.
Okay.
Which is the way it should be. The other problem is that not everything's available. It's not like it's a full a la carte. Everything that's on PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, you can play. They have to create games to go into the system and stuff. So it's a good selection of games. It's all kind of the AAA title games that you would want to play.
Yeah.
But it's also stuff that a lot of people did play. So if you are sort of like a gamer like me who tries to keep up and play most new games when they come out, all the big games that people talk about, you're probably not going to be playing anything on there for the first time.
Damn.
Like, it's all stuff you've already played.
I just find myself in the current state of games as they are. It's almost like the entire industry is just lost. Like, there are the guys who like, I looked the other day, and I was like, oh, wow. The last Gears of War I played was 1, and apparently there's a game called Gears of War Judgment, which is like a sidequel to
and isn't
Gears
that like
of
4 or something?
4?
Yeah.
I'm like, alright, I thought Gears of War was fairly succinct in the games that it already had. And then, like, I'm sitting here and I'm just like, okay, I can't play any of the games that I want from first-party developers on my current devices, which is the iPhone. And third, it's like...
There are some you can play.
Sure, but
you can
we're
play
talking about like
Dead.
Final Fantasy 3, Telltale Games. They're doing a good job. Telltale's on top of things.
Although I've heard their games are really glitchy on iPhone. The iOS versions are really bad.
Like, we just got a port of BioShock on iOS. It's like, alright, thank you.
I thought, aren't we still waiting for the port of BioShock on, like, Vita?
Hell,
I think I got canceled.
Anyway, so, like, it's just...
Although that team also got gutted.
I keep looking at the current games industry, and I see distress. I don't see golden age or heyday. I see literally like concern, confusion, holding to what has worked in the past. Maybe I'm wrong, but like, it's more like in survival mode than anything. It's like everybody else is waiting for the shoe to fall.
I think it's very mixed, because I mean, while I kind of agree with you in a lot of senses, you also have to think of like what happened last year in gaming. GTA 5 came out and sold $1 billion in the first day. I don't think games are hurting. Like, that's that's ridiculously successful.
Isn't that almost similar to games following the movie industry at that point, where like the top 20% take 80% of the revenue?
Yes, I will. I mean,
now,
statistically, I don't know, but that's probably completely true.
I mean, is that just natural for entertainment markets to have that happen? I mean, books are the same way. I understand, but I always thought games like it
probably is natural because it has to do with what's going in. The people that are selling all those games aren't doing it just because they made one good game. They're doing it because they've created a really good brand. They have loyalty to their customers. They consistently make good games. They invest the money to make those good games because they already made that money making other games, and that's definitely a big part of it. So like you have to put in that time and commitment to, you know, not many games come out of the gate and like become that. The one that comes to mind as that doesn't count as that is Minecraft.
Sure.
That game's an outlier.
Yeah, that's like a statistical outlier. Like it had to happen to somebody. It happened to Notch.
Yeah.
But I guess what I mean is like I love that Netflix comes in and is like, "Yo, we're gonna just make our own stuff.
Oh, I love.
We're gonna make Netflix originals," and that's cool. And like I wish, I don't know, like why? It's almost like what Nintendo did with Bayonetta. Like I wish I heard more stories like that. Like Nintendo was like, "Oh, we found all these indie games." Like, imagine if Nintendo made Braid a first publisher title instead of like making him do it on his own. Now he's doing a second game that's apparently bankrupting him because he just really wants to make the perfect game. Why doesn't somebody like Nintendo be like, "Yo, we're gonna bring you in house"? Like that kind of story would revitalize my belief that like, you know, it's an industry worth following.
It's just it's such a hard thing to think about because there's so many moving pieces, and particularly after Wii time, Nintendo has splintered it, and so there are so many other markets that are available now. So it's like, you know, I have that philosophy where the consoles are going to go away. You're going to have one piece of hardware, and everyone's developing for it, and just making it a really great ecosystem.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Nintendo can just be like, nope, we're going to continue catering to that Wii market, and we'll be successful doing it, and we will splinter the community into Sony and Xbox, and then Nintendo. And we'll stop there.